Good morning, everybody. We are just about to start. Let me know if the volume is good enough, fellas. Hopefully everyone has a great morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world, as it's been quite exciting in the PC space. Just currently setting up the chat so that way everybody can see each other. And let's see if someone has some exciting PC builds on the way here. So right now, we are just about to start. I just got these two chat boxes and pretty soon the video feed will go live. And we are live. Welcome everybody. This is Chris Mizo. This is AMA Ask Me Anything About PC Tech. Or if you're planning to do a PC build, you can also feel free to ask. Now, if you're curious about what the latest PC hardware tech currently is, and you're thinking about doing some sort of PC build, currently what is out in the market right now is Intel's 15th generation, also known as Nova Lake. You can go for those processors or AMD's Zen 5, which is preferably many people's favorites here. So you are talking about AMD Ryzen, say 9950X or 9800 X3D. That is what the current phase is with the processor space, GPU space. You do have NVIDIA's 50 series and AMD's 9000 series or 90 series, or however you would like to call it. Personally, to me, I'd say that's more of my personal favorite there. Out of all the GPUs that I've tested is AMD's 9070 XT. I really can't get enough. I just seen somebody yesterday that just went for a purchase of, let me just clear up that camera. I just realized that. I just saw somebody just made a purchase of a Sapphire 9070 XT just the other day, which is impressive. So, while we get started, we can wait for the whole chat to roll in and begin to ask any questions of your choice, especially if you're thinking of doing some sort of PC build. Some of you are probably also questioning about what is the issue currently with Windows' latest updates. Windows has still not really said anything too much about it. I can tell you, for anyone that is suffering from any SSD corruption with the latest Windows 11 update, they're recommending to reinstall Windows to fix the issue. So that doesn't really sound promising on Microsoft's part, as more than likely that's going to be quite a bit suspicious if they're saying reinstall Windows, if it's not really technically a Windows issue from what Microsoft has claimed. Some have also said that they weren't able to redo the issue or have the issue. Some people have tried to create the same issue, and some have failed, some have succeeded. Now, some are saying that the SSD space, the capacity on it, is usually what is causing the failure. So if you have 60% or more already on your SSD and you go ahead and try to install Windows, that ends up corrupting the SSD. Now, there are some that say if you just simply restart your PC, it'll come back. And, well, you can't really dismiss a lot of people for saying that their SSD has disappeared and has never come back and ends up not being salvageable. So who really is to blame in the case when it comes to Windows? What's up, Manny Plays? Welcome. I'm glad that you came in. We're just starting off with just the topic about Windows and the different hardware that's currently available if you're thinking about doing a PC build. This is a Ask Me Anything, so feel free to ask any questions as well if you are thinking of any PC builds. But glad you're here, Manny. And also, there is going to be Intel's newer processor that will be releasing between more than likely in October, because that is usually their launch dates, usually towards the end of October. You can expect the 16th generation. Is it going to be completely different than anybody thinks? Is it going to be based on 18A? And to answer all of those, it's not going to be based on that. Instead, it's going to be based on a Nova Lake refresh, which is going to be still based on the LG A1851 board, which was released last year. The Z890 boards or the B860 boards will still be compatible with the upcoming processor Intel will release. Intel decided to delay their Panther Lake into next year, and we can expect a lot more from Panther Lake and both AMD. AMD will have something to say, more than likely, about their chipset when it comes to the 10,000. When it comes to Ryzen's 10,000s, we can expect it to come out within the next year, and they will practically be neck and neck. So next year is going to be pretty much a very high processing space. You might see some refreshes such as NVIDIA's RTX 50 series Super, and you will also possibly see even RDNA 5. Let's hope for the best, because they do have some code names that have been released for, well, not really technically released, but they're code names for 3 different GPUs AMD is currently working on. And it sounds quite promising. In fact, they said that it can even compete with the upcoming next-gen NVIDIA. So it's not even going to compete with 50 series Super, but instead it's going to compete with NVIDIA's 60 series. Even one of the GPUs that AMD allegedly is making is supposed to even beat out the RTX 6090. So it should be able to match up in ray tracing and also path tracing. And if that's the case, that would be very interesting to see from AMD, and I'm curious how much attention they would receive, especially some feel that NVIDIA's marketing hasn't really been the best, or they really haven't had the consumers at heart at best when it comes to their products, that they kind of abandoned the consumers when it came to the 50 series. So also, with the NVIDIA 50 series, you can expect the RTX 5070 Super, RTX 5070 Ti Super, and the not the 5070 Super. In fact, they'll just do the RTX 5070 Ti Super, 5080 Super. 5070 Super actually. Instead, they're not going to touch the 5090. More than likely, it's going to end up the same way as the 4090, meaning that they're not really going to touch it. It's going to remain their top high-end card, but they will end up having supers for the 5080, which is definitely a lot more compatible, I say, for the gamer aspect. And I think the ideal video RAM size that everybody wants when it comes to a GPU is obviously over 16 gigabytes. A lot of people are complaining about 16 gigabytes being the cap, as a lot more games, especially when they use something like Unreal Engine 5, it just ends up using a lot more. Apologize for that, just making sure I had the mic on, because that happens at times. Anyway, they're going to make sure that the 5070 Super, which should be about 18 to 20 gigabytes. The 5070 Ti Super could even go up to 24 gigabytes. The 5080 Super should be able to go up to 24 gigabytes. Fortunately, none of the cards will reach as high of a capacity compared to the RTX 5090, which is 32 gigabytes, but then again, you really don't need all that capacity unless you're really trying to push for something else other than gaming, such as if you're more interested in things like LLMs, or maybe you are more of a graphic designer, then in those cases you can definitely use a bit more VRAM. But in cases when it comes to gaming, most of the time you might max out and say, like, especially if you're playing at 4K with high refresh rates, then you would certainly need a lot more VRAM for that case. But if you're gaming in something like 1440p, then you don't need as much VRAM, and they assume that many of the consumers that are purchasing GPUs currently are not really going to be gaming on 4K. Instead, most people will still be gaming on 1080p or 1440. So, but for that case, It's for the GPU case, that's what NVIDIA is currently planning. On AMD's side, they are planning to be a lot more competitive when it comes to competing with GPUs. So AMD has come out with 3 different code names here. In fact, I could share it with you guys here so you can check it out. Let's see. About the spec. How are you? Have you drank enough water? Yeah, that's what I mean. I feel like I might be even getting sick, so I can't really say. I feel that little something in my throat. Hopefully not. But anyway, let's go ahead and go to the browser here because I want to share this with you guys. And let's go up here. And just let me know if the mic is loud enough. Right here is the tweet I wanted to share with you guys here. And it's based on Montech, which is going to be more than likely their flagship card. And then you also have Ultra Magnus, which is more than likely going to be for their mid-tier cards. And you also have Alpha Trion. More than likely we can expect it. Hopefully we can see it during the whole CES. If not, that's fine. More than likely we can expect it within the next year, some sort of announcement. And again, more than likely they want to really go head to head against NVIDIA. Hopefully the confidence will remain. I know that they really want to be able to take back some of the GPU space that they can, especially because this is really a great opportunity for AMD to do something like that. If they do, then that would be awesome for AMD, as they really do deserve it. As I tested the cards earlier in the year, I tested the RTX 5070, RTX 5090, and even the RX 9070 XT. And personally, to me, I feel that the 9070 XT is definitely the best performance and value you could get in a GPU, especially if you're planning to build a PC or upgrading from an older GPU. What's up, Wasabi? Can't wait for my Optimus Prime GPU to transform into Lincoln. Yeah, exactly. It's good to see you, Wasabi. I know, hopefully we see Takuma come in too. It's great to see you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed Ricky's build, because Ricky has finally finished his PC build. And he says, well, believe it or not, that PC build, that when we all went to Micro Center here, it ended up only costing him about $1,400. But the rest of the accessories, such as the monitor, the capture device, the Elgato capture device that he got, he also ended up getting a microphone. You saw all the crazy accessories he ended up picking up, which is the keyboards, the mouse, and he's loving the build so far. He just needs help getting onto a streaming setup. It seems like OBS is kicking his ass a little bit, but there is going to be a guide. I'm going to have a video released on it, because I did notice that there's not really a lot of great guides out there for people who are just starting off on streaming. So there will be a video released on that tomorrow about setting up OBS, and just a really basic overlay of just having your video, your chat overlay, have everything practically set up for anyone to set up on streaming. But Ricky is a real one for going with the 5070 Ti, 16 gigabytes of VRAM. Absolutely. He is. It's I gotta say, he's definitely going all out. It's funny because originally he was only going to go for the RX 9060 XT. He was going to get the 16 gigabyte version because, again, the price to value is there. But he had to go all out. He knew he wanted to do some content creation. He has 2 monitors on top of it, and why not just go with the RTX 5070 Ti, because then you can take full advantage of content creation and also being able to play the games that you would like as well. So take a sip of water here. Hopefully everyone's day has been going well so far, I have to say, because I'm not too sure, but hopefully I won't end up getting sick, because it's that time of the season, unfortunately. But hopefully just whatever this is, like, it almost feels like I got something in my throat. almost like I keep trying to clear my throat, you know. But hopefully that's just because the air is changing, especially because the fall time is pretty much almost here. But so we have AMD's RDNA 5 that's going to be on its way. I'm really curious to see if it's going to be competitive when it comes to their ray tracing and especially path tracing, because tracing obviously still falls relatively short. If you compare a chart of path tracing when it comes to the RX 9070 XT or any of their 90 series cards, it's still going to be at least 2 generations behind. With ray tracing, it's a lot closer. It's more about a generation behind instead of just being 2 generations behind, because the ray tracing used to really lack before as well. But now it seems like their AMD's ready to close up the gap, and we'll see how true that is. I can see the ray tracing end up matching up with NVIDIA's, but with the path tracing is what I'm really curious about most when it comes to their cards. The good thing about AMD is that they do certainly listen to the consumers when it comes to their products, and because they know that there is some sort of craving for a high-end card, it seems AMD will end up listening to a lot of to everybody out there who does want a RX, say 9090 if they call it that, or I don't even think it'll be a 9090 technically. I'll go off a pretty much a new generation. Maybe do you think they'll kind of match up with their processors here? Because that would be a bit confusing, right? Say if they go with the, instead of going with the, say like 9800 X3D is the most current one, right? They go say 10800, or would it be 180 X3D? And then when it comes to their GPUs, would they pretty much do the same? Because they're on 9080 and they could do practically the same thing, but maybe change the ends. But let's hope AMD kind of rethinks that and kind of renames their strategy when it comes to their CPUs and GPUs, because that could get quite confusing. Because when you think about it, everything would end up matching up at this point. So, Silksong broke Steam. Yes. Yes, it has broke Steam. I saw that. That was pretty insane. I can't believe that it ended up doing that. It's one of those games that I wanted to purchase, but I've seen everyone try to actually purchase it nearly at the same time. And because it ended up, because they ended up putting it out there, I guess for such a great price, you could get Silksong for only $20. And since you could get it for $20, everyone wanted to get it. And it's been an anticipated release for the most part, especially after Hollow Knight, since that was released in 2017. And since they released Silksong, it's a great deal, $20. That a lot of game companies can really learn from this, and hopefully they do, because now we're going to enter a new season to where games are going to end up costing a bit more, which is going to be unfortunate, especially around November. Originally, Borderlands 4, they wanted to charge $80 USD for that game, but they ended up backtracking and going $70 USD. And it's the same for a lot of other companies, because then it just seems like you're not getting the quality you expect from say it's supposed to be $80, but more than likely, you know, you're going to end up with a game where you end up with day one patches and issues. But I have to say, Wasabi, have you played it so far? I am curious. I've heard a lot of great things about it. Wicked Chipmunk. Will the 5500 X3D be released worldwide? Can I use an iPad to monitor for a PC temporarily? Well, there's ways you can do it, but I wouldn't recommend really using an iPad. You're more than likely better off using a some sort of display like a TV for now. TV is a big way where many gamers usually start off when they build their PCs, and then they can work their way to get, say, a monitor then. But I would recommend something like a TV instead first, because, again, you have an HDMI outlet, and that'll make it a whole lot easier for anyone that is just starting off. And when it comes to the 5500 X3D, I have to say the 5500 X3D, I can't say it's going to release worldwide for the most part, because they are trying to phase out of the original AM4. They do want everyone to more than likely move into AM5. So I can't see them really pushing it worldwide, but if they do, that would be great. It would be awesome. There is also an anticipated release for the 9600 X3D that should be released, as we tried to look for it last week at Micro Center. Obviously, they don't have it just quite yet. More than likely, we can expect the 9600 X3D to be released in November. So, yes. And Takuma, see you next week. Oh, okay. Is it? Oh, is Simply Takuma here? Hopefully he is here. Because I know he wanted to get in on this stream, because I remember on Wednesday he ended up missing that one. But that's okay. That's all good. I don't understand why it's released now after 8 years. Well, this is because the demand was already high for the demand was already high for the 5800 X3D, and they knew that they were going to make the sales for it. Same thing with the 5900 X3D and all their other higher end processors. They'll usually release the later ones, such as the 5500 X3D, just kind of because of they know the cost, especially when it comes to South America. When it comes to PCs, it's very expensive. So all their parts are usually double, or even more than double, because of the taxes that they have down there. So having the 5500 X3D release in their market is definitely a larger relief for anybody out there who does want a PC. So this is very fortunate for them, but for the rest of the world, I guess AMD isn't really looking for a market to sell the 5500 X3D, as most people are on AM5 as it is, and most people will end up upgrading to that side, especially because of TPM 2.0. The earliest release they had of TPM 2.0 was back in 2016 or 2017, about then. And not many people who have AM4 really have TPM 2.0, but it's causing a large surge of people upgrading their PCs or wanting to build a PC that is going to be TPM 2.0 compatible. So that way they can play the newer games, such as Battlefield 6, and they do have other releases such as Modern Warfare, but Black Ops 7. Once that releases, you can expect TPM 2.0 to be part of that game as well. So, and this isn't going to be a new thing. Expect it to happen to a lot of multiplayer games. So, same here in India. So, which is more? So, Risan says, should I buy a Mac Mini M4 plus PS5 or a gaming PC with a 7600X and the RTX 5060 16 gigabytes? I want to do gaming and editing. So if that's the case, if you want to do gaming and editing, I would highly suggest just doing the gaming PC build. Now, if you do end up getting a Mac Mini, I feel that's not really going to be as efficient for you compared to, say, a gaming PC. Gaming PC is more all-in-one, and you have a lot more flexibility compared to using practically two devices, because you're still going to need a capture card and everything if you do end up getting, say, like a Mac Mini instead, because you're going to need like an Elgato device, such as a capture card, and then you're going to have to hook it up to your PC, and then you also, not your PC, but your Mac, and then you're also going to have to work on different conversions. And it's just not as efficient as a PC where you can just do it right off the bat. You can just record immediately once you're on the desktop practically. So I would highly recommend a gaming PC for that aspect. But for especially if you're planning to stream in the future as well, that's also a big benefit for that too. Same here for India. Reason Hector gaming PC with yes. Absolutely. Agree with Wasabi. What's up, Jennifer? So R5 7600 or the 7600X would be better, because the reason being is this allows you to do more overclocking compared to the standard 7600. So if you want to use like PBO, you can. So what's up, Jennifer? I'm Propa Collector. I have TPM1. I'm trying to figure out if I can upgrade it. Unfortunately, if you're on TPM1, or anybody in the fact that is between that whole TPM series of like 1.0, 1.2, they have 1.4. But anyway, anyone with those motherboards, unfortunately, have to be forced to change out the motherboard. You have to be able to swap out the motherboard in order for you to get TPM 2.0. Now, can you switch over to hardware? Technically, you could, as long as if you get a motherboard that's 2.0 and a compatible LGA socket or a compatible AM4 socket. But in order for you to swap out, everything has to match quite well. But unfortunately, for most people that are stuck in that generation of TPM1 or TPM 1.2 or whatever, it's much better to end up building a PC, to be honest. And reason being is because it's just going to constantly, PC hardware will just constantly get more expensive if you end up just upgrading the motherboard itself, as they are planning to eventually stop production of DDR4 soon, which is something that Samsung had announced that they're going to try to stop production by the end of this year when it comes on their side, at least for Samsung side. So that will affect their chipsets. Now, I can't say how it's going to affect. There's another company that also works for memory chipsets as well. They haven't quite said anything about it, but we will see in time. But for anyone that's stuck on the earlier versions of TPM, I would just highly recommend just building a PC, or even just buying a pre-built PC if you can. But certainly is the time for upgrades. So, Black Panther, how do you properly enable X3D on my Ryzen 9 7950 X3D? Is there a way? Well, you do have it, more than likely you probably have it enabled. Have you entered the BIOS, Black Panther? You have to go into the BIOS, make sure to enable PBO. That's the first step. And once you do that, that's practically, you're getting ready to, it's like automatic overclocking once you get that enabled. And but usually once that processor's in there, it's already enabled. So you'll already have the stock settings, but to push it further, just enable PBO. And you could also do curve optimizers, which there's a ton of videos on curve optimizing, which you can kind of set your parameters for your CPU to push even further. Usually you'll want to undervolt it, and if you're undervolt it, then you can be a bit more power efficient, but also get better clocks. So for Resun says the R5 7600 or the 9600X. They're not too far apart. They're not that different when it comes to their processors. Of course, the 9600X is just a bit faster. Now, depending on what your budget is, especially that you're editing, it's always better to get the bigger processor. So you want to have more cores if you can, especially if you're going to be doing a lot more of rendering and encoding and everything. So it's better to get something more, like say if you could get like the 7950X, that would be the best bet over the say 9600X or over the 9800 X3D even. So it's better to have more cores, especially if you are planning to use it for editing. What's up, Sharat? Yes, it's been a while. Glad that you came in. So there's no specific chipset driver to enable X3D, so you don't have to worry about that. That's based on the CCD itself, on the processor. So that's already pretty much automatic. But if you want to push your processor further when it comes to your X3D, you can easily go and enable PBO and make sure to put on your, you could either put on your XMP, or which is technically Intel, but it does also work on AMD boards, or you can also put on Expo, which is AMD exclusive. Can I ask a question? No, go ahead. Really, no questions dumb. Feel free to ask any question because it's all part of the PC building or just starting off with a PC. I know it can be quite intimidating. So again, don't be afraid to ask questions. We've all started a build at some day or some age. So now in 2025. So is your question of what type of hardware that's out there when it comes to PCs in 2025? Because currently there's going to be quite a few processors that we can expect to release within a couple months. And I'll explain that side real quick. So there's going to be a couple processors that will release within a couple months, meaning there's one that's probably going to release between October and November. I expect Intel to release their 16th generation when it comes to October, which is going to be practically Nova Lake's refresh. And when it comes to AMD, expect the 9600X 3D to be released within probably about November. I'm thinking they're more November. Intel will be more October when it comes to their hardware. Now they're going to be based on still on the Z890 and also built based on the B860 when it comes to Intel. And for AM5, that's going to be around for a while. The good thing is that that when the new Ryzen processors also release, all AM5 boards will still be compatible. So you don't have to worry about upgrading the motherboard until at least, like, let's see, 25 now, 20, probably until like about 28, maybe 28. That would be the next generation when it comes to AM6. So is the Ryzen, okay, let me go back here. The thing is, I have my first year med exams up on the 9th. Oh, no, I get it. Yeah, pass those exams. I wish you the best of luck. Definitely study hard for it. But I'm glad you stopped by. It's definitely good to see you, Sir Hars. So, is the Ryzen 5 7600X good for the 5070? Absolutely. Yeah, it works great together. They both work well as a team. So even though it's AMD and NVIDIA, I know they're technically both enemies of each other, but no matter what, their processor and their GPU also does work well as a good combination. So my BIOS shows RAM frequencies like 6200 up to like 9000, which is normal. My RAM supports 6000 megahertz. Can I set it? I mean, technically you could, but it's not recommended. And also, if you put it on a higher frequency, more than likely you'll end up gaining a bit more latency because you have to be able to give something to gain something practically. So for example, if your memory's at 6000 CL30, which is the latency, and if you choose 6200, just say, or 6400, and you really push it, technically you're trying to overclock the memory. In order for you to do that, it's going to change not only the timings, but it can also severely change the latency. It can change it up to, say, 36 or something, or 34. And it all depends on the calculation because it's going to automatically calculate for you. But more than likely, I would highly recommend for you just to stay on 6000, as that will be actually the best number for you to stick with when it comes to AMD boards, as that will actually make you will have the infinity cache enabled practically in that case. So if you have it set at 6000 megahertz, your PC is pretty good when it comes to your memory frequencies here. So what price should I give for the Ryzen 5 7600X versus the 9600X in 2025, the pricing? So we can definitely look that up. We can check out the pricing to see how that is. We can compare the two, and let's take it. Let's take a look. We'll go into the browser, check it out, and we'll find out. And right now we will switch over. over to the browser side. Just give me a moment here. There we go. Okay, so right now we're just in the browser. We're going to really compare the two. So now when it comes to, yeah, no problem, Black Panther. Yeah, oh, thanks a lot. I do appreciate it. So, say we go up to the 7600X, right? And the 9600X. And we're going to compare the pricing here. Let's see. Now, let me go on Newegg, in fact. That would be the best way to look. But I know you're more than likely going to be in another country. Let me know the country that you're in. We could always go on their website and check it out as well. And for those at Vertical, let me know if you feel that the camera is locked in okay. And let me move me over just like that. That's probably a bit better. So let's look it up. So we're going to look up 7600X. And I'm going to go into the browser here for you guys. I don't know why it switched back off here. There we go. Browser. There we go, guys. 7600. So how RAM frequency and latency work for gaming and editing. How to choose for frequency. So for that, you don't have to worry really too much about that when it comes to video editing. I would leave it onto the best XMP or Expo settings. Again, depending on your build, since you're AMD, I would just leave it on the best Expo settings practically. So right now we can get the 7600X for $179.99, right? That's the current price set for it. $179 for it. Now, if we look up the 9600X, oh, I bet the pricing's way worse. So it's only really like about $20, $30 more if you go for the 9600X. But it also depends on your budget. Can you would you be able to get it with that price? And they actually have a pretty decent deal going on. For the 9600X, you also get free team group memory as well with it. That's not bad, actually. And that's for $198. So this is their way of trying to compete. Okay, so since you're from India here, I have to know the type of store that you preferably use. And we could check out their store even. So on Amazon Italy, the 7600 is 20 euros more expensive. Yeah, so that's about right. So more than likely, I would expect over in India that more than likely the pricing isn't going to be that crazy of a difference. Like you said, if everything is like more like about double the price of what it should be, then you could probably see maybe like, I guess it would be 40 about. I guess 40, I would say. Because I know I think they use rubies, if I'm correct there. So, yeah, Amazon. So you check out Amazon. So let's check out Amazon here. So what task can you do what can you do to a PC with a GPU, without a GPU, and only a CPU, specifically like a Ryzen 7700? Well, if you have a Ryzen 7700, you're pretty much SOL. Because reason being is you got nowhere to plug in your outlet. No, you don't really have video. I think also, do they have video? I'm curious. Because I'm pretty sure it's only the X that has it, right? But if you are using just the CPU, you can just do really basic tasks. You can't really do too much gaming on it, unfortunately, if you're trying to. But like I said, I don't even think there's really a embedded GPU in that. Not gonna lie, the upgrade I had for the GeForce GT 504 in a Dell XPS laptop to a 5070 Ti Super, yeah, it's amazing of a difference, right? I gotta say, XPS are great laptops, though. They're excellent. I had an XPS like for so many years. In fact, I had an XPS like for, I think it was like 7 years until I finally gave it up. Only thing that was wrong with the XPS was that the battery life was just like degrading. It got to the point where the battery life was only like about an hour and a half to 2 hours. But the XPS can last like for usually about 9 or 10 hours of battery life. So, not gonna. So the $68 more in India. Okay, so that's going to be quite the difference. So depending on your budget. Here, it's really if you can afford to get the higher processor. If not, that's okay too. Again, the performance is not going to be that great between the 9600X versus the 7600X. I would recommend it if it's not going to be that much of a price gap between them. Then I would say just go ahead and just get the 9600 then. But if there is going to be quite the difference, then I would just go with the 7600X, especially if that's the better pricing you can get on your budget. Especially because I know you want to also focus on the GPU that you want to get for your PC build. So, by the way, Chris, sorry for being late answering your question. No, I haven't played Silk. Oh, really? Oh, yeah, give it a shot. You're going to love it. Has anyone here played Silksong, I have to say? And how are you liking it? So, to answer what CPU is good for editing, around $200. How much is this 7600X now? I got to say. Because I'm on Amazon now, but I'm just going to end up getting US pricing if I go on Amazon. I could try going on Amazon India and see if it lets me. No. Yeah, it's probably not going to... okay, so I'm looking now. All right, let's switch over. We're going to go over to the browser here, guys. Browser. Let me adjust the chat here because for some reason the chat disappeared on here. Oh, that's why. There you go, guys. Wonder why it disappeared like that. Okay, perfect. So, yes, I have Helldivers 2. It's been a while since I played it. It's a great game, though. Okay, so we're going to go over, we're going to look up the 9600X. Where do you stream? Yes, I've been streaming recently. I just really started streaming this year. But usually I stream between, on YouTube is the main platform. I also stream on Twitch, and I also stream on, I used to stream on TikTok, but for some reason, they had some sort of rules where they mostly want you to use their platform for some reason. But anyway, it's mostly YouTube, Twitch, and also on X as well. So those three platforms I'm currently streaming on. But yeah, thanks for asking. Feel free to follow. Anybody who wants to join the Discord and ask questions, also, you can join the Discord and you can show off your PC builds. And you could even be featured on live as well. Feel free to show it because I will definitely share it with you guys. So I see the 9600X with the integrated Radeon. It's 23,849. Is it rubies or ruples? I forget which one it is. So Sackcar says, is it worth switching? No. Just keep your... Actually, your 4070 Ti is excellent. I wouldn't swap it. So keep that 4070 Ti. I would highly recommend. Yeah, if I get the chance, Wasabi, I certainly will. It's funny because we're actually watching someone's dog this week. But I will let you know. Text me on Discord, and I definitely would. If I get the chance, I will let you know for sure. The 9600X is 23,840. Yeah, rupees. So I figured it was rupees. Okay, and then it was Now you want to compare the 7600X. Yeah, that's a big difference between the two. So I would just say get the 7600X then, if that's the case. 20,689. So that's equivalent to. I'm not familiar with Ruby, so I just got to do some quick conversions here, USD to rupees. Thanks a lot, Black Panther. I do appreciate it. And again, feel free to ask any questions as well. And here, we're gonna. Right now, I'm just about to convert it. Let's give it a shot. See what it says here. 20,689. Okay, so that's about $234. Oh, rupees. That's my fault. So it's rupees, not rupees. But okay, so 20,689 is about $234 versus the 9,600. Oh, I apologize for that, guys. It's because I got my numpad linked to switching this scenes here. So I'm just about to get you back on the browser here. Oh, okay. I got you. All right, so I'm switching over to the browser here. Okay. So that's 23,849. Is it that much of a difference? So $270. So technically it's like what? Like almost like a $30 to $40 difference. I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for joining again, Black Panther. Hope to see you next time. So it's a little bit cheaper in India. Okay. So if that's the case, then at least you have a good indication of which one to head for. And especially you'll have a good idea of what your PC build is going to look like. Now, do you have a budget of what your PC build is going to be? $35. Okay, yeah, pretty much. So it's not going to be that large of a difference, but again, it depends on how tight your budget is. So we're going to go back into the chat area. I swear, that's the only thing that works on OBS currently. I don't know what the deal is with it. But anyway, I have to say, it depends on your budget. If you could only get the 7600, let's go ahead, get the 7600. If that allows you to be able to get more things for your PC, if you want to stretch your dollar, so to say, then go ahead and do that. But if you can afford to spend a little extra, then go ahead and get the 9600X, and you'll be pretty much up to par. Because even if you're just, say, waiting for the next processors, which will also be compatible on AM5, and you want to save a little extra money for that, then get the 7600, and then you can always upgrade later to, say, I don't know if they're going to call it either the 1060 or the 160. I don't know how they're going to call those numbers, but we'll see in time. But when they do release it, then at least you know that you have some money on the side for that as well. So AliExpress CPUs you know what's funny? We actually had a topic about AliExpress, about both AliExpress and both on Temu. You also want to be really careful on what you buy on there, because you don't want to end up getting something that isn't really, say, a Ryzen 9600X, that you end up with something that is, say, a AMD 3900 from back then, like the Athlons, like the AMD Athlons. That's what you have to really be careful on. It's happened a lot on places like AliExpress. So also be careful and be mindful of what you purchase it for. So if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is, especially on those type of websites, unfortunately. So I installed a GTX 1650 and a 1TB SATA SSD. Can I upgrade to an i7 4770K for like 100? Pretty decent for gaming and an old office computer I found. So if that's the case, if you did, then let me see. So I mean, you could. Again, the 1650 is going to be limited. It's a great card. It's still an awesome card for what it is. But just know that the video drivers aren't going to be as up to date, if that's okay with you. So let's see here. We'll put this guy away, and 200 or 250 CPU for editing. So if you're going to be editing, we just spoke about it. It seems that more than likely the best pricing would be for the 7600X, I guess. I'm just curious. I'm going to look at the pricing of like a 7950, just like a 7950X. Or even a 7950, in fact. Let me see. So it's nearly double of what the cost is. Oh. Go back into the browser here, guys. I'm switching you guys here. Perfect. So we're going to check out this browser. So this is the price of it, about $56,589. We're going to switch over here, which is going to be let me refresh this. There we go. I should switch it over. There we go. So if you do go for it, right? It's this comma. There we go. 641. That's a big difference in pricing. Usually this would be best for creators out there, because when it comes to the 7950X, this has more cores. You want to have more cores to be able to do it. But again, since the pricing is a bit high out there, then you want to be able to obviously afford it. So I would say getting like a 9600, a 9700, or a 7600 or 7700 would be a great choice for you guys out there, for sure, in India. So hey, I have a Ryzen 5 7600 and a RX 9060 XT. What monitor do I get for no money? I get no money problem. I have a 1080p OLED or 1440p OLED. I'll watch movies too, so I'll spend good money. And RX 9060 XT, good for 14. But okay, so you want to know a great 1440p monitor? That's OLED. I gotta say, do you like ultrawides like this? This is a great monitor here, which is the ASUS PG34 WCDM. They also have the PG. Let me see. They have another one that's also a great choice. I wouldn't recommend the 32 because that's the 4K monitor. They do have a 1440p equivalent. So I used to play games, and I got a pre-built. So I don't know much about gaming, but I am thinking of swapping my Intel i9 12900KS for a Ryzen chip, but I don't know which one. I can also sell my motherboard for $300. What's up, Ayash? What's going on? So I gotta say, for this, if you are thinking of going over to Ryzen, you certainly can. 12900KS is actually a great processor. But of course, if you want to upgrade to a newer processor, you can. And if you are more for the gaming side, it's definitely better to get something like a 9800 X3D if you can, or even say like the 9600 X3D when they do release it, if you're planning to upgrade in the near future, which again is coming out in a few months, which will have the CCDs that you're looking for, which has the extra 3D V cache, which will help it in the gaming aspect. But it's definitely worth it if you're thinking of going to Ryzen. But I do got to say the 12900KS is actually an excellent processor that you do have. So, yeah, Zay also says that too. So, okay, but if I can, let's see, opinions on the Ryzen 5 7500F. It's great on budget, I gotta say. If you're trying to get a 7500F, it's certainly a great processor if you're just gaming. Now, I wouldn't recommend it for something like editing because you won't really have the cores to do it. So it's a pretty good AM5 CPU, but yes. The RX 9060 XT is good for editing on a RTX 50 or the RTX 5060 Ti is the way to go. That's a great question. In fact, that was actually one of the debates that we had originally when it came to purchasing a GPU. Because if you guys got to catch the live stream last week, we ended up going over to Micro Center and we took a look at different processors out there. GPUs out there to really get a good indication, because Ricky wanted to be able to not only be able to game, but he also wanted to be able to edit and also to stream. So when it comes to editing and when it comes to streaming and everything, NVIDIA is usually a bit better for it because it does have better encoders in there. It also has the CUDA cores in there too that also help it. So the 5060 Ti would certainly be more of the way to go instead of the AMD 9060 XT. Now the 9060 XT is strictly good for if you're just more or so focused on the gaming aspect of gaming. You can also stream on it as well, but it won't perform as well as the NVIDIA RTX 5060 Ti. So the Ryzen 5 7500F is not available in India. That's sorry to hear that. I know it's not going to be a widely used processor, as it's also pretty new actually. I think they released that like within not too long ago, like within summer, I'd say. So maybe it will come into India, just due time really. And let me just select this here. There we go. Because it's focused on the wrong screen there. So I'm an NVIDIA shill, so even with AMD card 6600 XT, its technologies are too good, bro. Yeah, that's the unfortunate side of it. NVIDIA is certainly better when it comes to the whole editing and into the streaming side. So unless, again, you're focused more onto the gaming side, then AMD would certainly be the way to go. Also, when it comes to processors as well, processors have certainly improved, but again, it all depends on the type of programming that you use. Now, if you use something like DaVinci Resolve, you're certainly going to prefer NVIDIA over it because of the CUDA cores, and unfortunately, Premiere does prefer using NVIDIA cards, even though it's not going to be as heavily used on products such as Adobe Premiere. Instead, it's going to be more or so that it relies on the processor, the CPU. But again, they will also prefer more of NVIDIA cards more than anything. So would you take a Ryzen 9 7900X or a Ryzen 9 9900X? I use it for 3D modeling and rendering, but I also play, so maybe a Ryzen 7 9800X 3D or Ryzen 9 9900X 3D or Ryzen. Okay, so now if you're using it for 3D modeling, that's a whole completely different ballgame there. Now when it comes to 3D modeling, I would highly recommend getting the 9950X 3D. Take the 9900X 3D out the equation. I feel like, honestly, that's like a wasted chipset. It's a great chipset, don't get me wrong. It's a great processor. But I would say the 9950X 3D would certainly be the way to go, especially over the 9800X 3D. You want to have the multi-cores in there. If you can get the 9950X 3D, it's excellent. And I know they use some of the best silicon. They really use the best silicon grade when it comes to their processors. When it comes to 9900X 9950X3D, which is wild. There's actually a rating on there that you can actually see in the BIOS, and when you see it, it's actually quite impressive. But that would certainly benefit you, especially in 3D modeling. So do you use Adobe Premiere Pro? I do. I actually use Adobe Premiere Pro, and at times I will use DaVinci as well. Is traveling with a PC or PC components in the main luggage in the airport, is there any? Yes. Yeah. Yes. If you are traveling with a PC, be very careful with it. You want to wrap it extremely well. And it's practically like shipping your PC when you put it on an airplane. So if you do put it on the airplane, like you are bringing it to the main luggage on the airport, so it's more than likely going to have to be put with the luggage. So because of that, you want to make sure everything inside is at least supported. So if you have a GPU, I would highly recommend to take off the GPU. Then it's a lot more safer in that sense. Then you don't have to worry about packing the inside of the PC as much. But it's good to pack it with like make sure it's ESD, so it doesn't have any discharge in any of the products that you put inside of your PC, because you don't want to prevent any movement of components in there. And also when you put it in your case, make sure to wrap it up well, because again, depending on where you're going, they can be pretty rough with your luggage. So make sure to put it in a very secure box. You want it to be at least double corrugated if possible, triple corrugated, because at least you'll have multiple layers. And personally, to me, I feel it's best to double layer the box if you can, because again, they're going to be very rough with it. Unless you have a special case already, a special luggage, like a Pelican case for your PC case, then at least the box side, you don't have to worry about it, but you'll still have to worry about the components inside of your PC. So, back here for a short time. Oh, welcome back, Takuma. Good to see you. Wasabi was just here. Oh, yeah, he is? Okay, he's still here. Security issue? Not really security issue, but it's funny. I had a whole story about that too, but that was a whole different situation. But it's not, you won't really run into issues when it comes to security. I worry more about the handling of the PC more than anything, because you don't want to end up with a damaged PC. And you want to at least get travel insurance too, if you can. It would be a great idea too. What happens if customs start asking questions about PC components? Usually, honestly, PC components, they shouldn't really give you any problems. It's more or so when it comes to things like food or like something like plants, then they'll start questioning you. Or it's something extremely valuable, like a lot of jewelry or something. But PC components, more than likely, you're not going to get questioned by anybody about that, by customs. So, Jan, what do you think of the new Fractal Designscape wireless headset? Looking for one, but don't know if I should take the Fractal or Beyerdynamic MMX 200 Pro wireless. Now, the Beyerdynamic, I can say, is just a wonderful headset, I gotta say. Definitely a great one, but if you're comparing to the Fractal Designscape wireless, I have to look at it. I actually haven't seen it yet. I could take a look at it and get a good idea to see what it looks like, but until then, we can certainly compare. I'll bring it up on the browser and we'll take a look at that too. Those two. How does that sound, Jan? So, I will put my Schwartz in it and take out the GPU. Yeah. That's funny. You can certainly do that. But make sure they're ESD though. So, and would you take the 9950X3D or the Asus ROG Strix B850E Wi-Fi or the Acer ROG? I would personally go... Okay. Now, I'm a bit conflicted. It's funny because we actually talked about this a little bit on Discord about when it came to their products with ASRock. I love their products. I really do. I think they're great. But with their current situation, I got to say it's a bit disappointing. And I hope that they certainly rectify the problem. There's yet another BIOS update when it comes to ASRock. When it comes to specifically the 9800 X3D for some weird reason. But if I were to pick, I wouldn't take the gamble, and I would definitely take the ASUS board. I would take the B850 over it. But what is customs? So PCs cost more than jewelries nowadays. Yeah, it certainly can. What is customs wants to check the PC? Do you have to build it and for them with no case nor a testing bench? So when it comes to customs, you don't honestly. Again, when it comes to customs, they don't really. Again, they'll look at it, but it's again not going to be anything out the ordinary because people will send things like PCs all the time through the airport. So I wouldn't worry about it as much when it comes to customs, when it comes to PCs. But if you're in a restricted country, it might be a little bit different, like South America. I know South America is a lot different there. And again, it's because of their taxes there, which makes it incredibly expensive. There, I know you probably have to claim it, maybe. But other than that, that's it. But do you prefer a big flashy RGB PC or a super ITX compact Personally, to me, I prefer larger builds because I like the flexibility of working on the PC. Sure, the small ones are nice, compact, and sexy because you can just take it anywhere you want to go. And it's just convenient to have, especially if you want to game on the go. Like if you know you're going to stay somewhere like for 2 weeks and you just want to take a PC to go, it's awesome for that. But for workability, for ease of use, I certainly prefer more the bigger, larger cases. Now, RGBs, not as necessary, but it does give it a nice aesthetic. So, Simply Takuma says, ASRock makes great products, not going to lie, but at the moment, the software side is somewhat not good to get today, but ASUS either. See, I do agree that the good thing about ASUS is their hardware is good, but the software isn't as good. Now, when it comes to if you do end up using it, using their software, then or I would just remove it because a lot of times it'll be in the BIOS side of it. I'll be in the BIOS side of ASUS when to install, say, ASUS Armory Crate. You could disable it. Same thing with a lot of other manufacturers such as MSI or Gigabyte. But personally, to me, I just like to try to keep it clear as possible from any type of manufacturer software. Even Windows software, I try to remove as much of it. I'll use a deep loader to kind of like remove everything that I don't need off of Windows because they give you a lot of junk too. I wanted a simple build for my server using Ubuntu, but simple Express server to handle heavy traffic. That's the way to go. And I was actually just thinking of that. That's also a good option for some people out there. So for those who are interested in using a different OS, you certainly can. You can use a different OS such as Linux, and Linux does certainly give you a bit more flexibility. But for his use, he's using it for server use, so that makes a lot more sense as he's using it for more of a wider use, which is a great option to do. For those who ever thought of building like a NAS system, like a network attached system, that's also a great option as well. I gotta build one, I gotta say. It would be really nice to have just the extra storage. So Jan says, I heard the problem was fixed with the new BIOS update. Also looked at some reviews, and I also think it would be better because I will use 4x 16 gigabyte CL32 16. I mean, you can go ahead and do it, but again, since it was very specific to that processor, the 9800 X3D, for some weird reason, I haven't heard it burn out other processors yet, like that are like, say, like the 9950 X3D, you can go ahead and go with it. But again, please use caution and make sure to update the BIOS like immediately once you get it. Because anybody who gets a ASRock board, that's what I would do immediately. So I mean, from the software sites like BioSide and ASRock and also ASUS make big notice. So Risan Ikhtar says, the first time on your stream and I resolved most of my questions, I will love a small video on a small PC case which supports micro ATX mobile because both small PC build is expensive, both. Okay, I'll actually put that in my notes here. I'm going to copy your text. You probably can see it now. Put it in my notes because that's something I haven't really got to do on my channel yet either, was do a PC build here. A small ITX build. So I'll add it on the list right here. Right there. Perfect. And I'll definitely keep it in mind for an up and coming video there. So let me focus back in there. So one day I will take a loan from the bank so I can build a rig with a Threadripper CPU. And believe it or not, I have actually done it. I actually have a Threadripper build, and this is what I'm actually streaming off of. Now, it's not like the newest Threadripper. This was like originally the new Threadripper back then when I first built it back in, what was it, 2019? The 3970X. It was, no, the 30, what was it? I think it was the 30, yeah, Threadripper 3970, yeah, the 3970X it was. And it was expensive. At the time, it was a $2,000 CPU. But as you see, I still use it to this day, and it's awesome. This is what I use for my editing rig. That's all I straight use it for, is just video editing and rendering, and that's it. I don't use it for anything else than that. So, make a video on, yes, I will certainly take a look. And supports M-ATX. I got that. It'll be a bit tricky, but I will certainly do some research on it. I think for actual design, we'll have something like that. Can I overclock my 5600 megahertz CL30 DDR5 to 6000? I mean, you could. That's also, yes, I definitely do want to build a NAS system. But I wouldn't recommend it. You could. You're going to sacrifice your latency dearly if that's the case. And most of the time, it's not really worth doing manual overclocks anymore on RAM unless you're just competing. Then it's worth it. But other than that, I would just highly recommend just keeping it the way it is. You're not going to notice a large difference. Matter of fact, even if you do end up overclocking the frequency, again, you'll lose your latency, and you'll notice actually a performance decrease, and you don't want that to happen. The Threadripper platform got very expensive. The newest, yeah, that's the thing that annoys me. I really want to build a new Threadripper PC, but you've seen it when we were at Micro Center. You've seen how crazy, ridiculously expensive some of these processors are. It's still. It's like $10,000, just like you said, for like a very good one, a decent one. So even if I look on the platform that I'm using now still, the TRX 40, which is the motherboard that's in there now, and if I were to even upgrade, say, to the 3990X, it's still quite expensive because it just blows my mind how expensive it still is. I don't know if it's because they really push the pricing up when it comes to Threadripper, but it would be nice to have. But again, it's just too costly, honestly, in my personal opinion. Most people, if you're thinking of doing a build like a Threadripper, I would highly recommend just getting the best processor you can in the desktop space. Meaning just getting like a 9950X would be honestly good enough for a lot of people out there. Because it's getting to the point, like if I were to render my processor, if I were to test bench it, which I should test bench it in 2025 to share the numbers with everybody, it's going to end up like starting to get closer to where it is nowadays. Because at the time in 2019, it was super fast. But now processors are catching up to this point. So Yes, it certainly is better than Intel's, I gotta say, because the Intel's is, you know what's funny? Intel charges a lot of money for their high-end desktop processors as well, but the problem is that it doesn't perform for the pricing. Instead, you're not getting anywhere near the performance with their Xeon, their Intel Xeon chips, which is just a waste at that point. I don't even think anybody really uses their chipsets, and they're still based on socket 2011, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Those Intel, yeah, they are ridiculous, and it doesn't make any sense. It's just inefficient, I gotta say. But I'm just curious. You know what? How about we just take a look at the Threadripper side and see how much it is on eBay. Out of curiosity, right? Because I am curious. Because last I looked, I remember it was still pretty expensive. And where is... Why is it there? That's so weird. Oh, I know why. There was 2 browsers open. Okay. I'm just switching you guys now. There you go. We were looking at this on Wednesday, matter of fact, I remember. Is the 1080 Ti good? Yes. It was a great card at the time, but unfortunately, don't expect much updates on them anymore. Unfortunately, NVIDIA already has said it. Yes, exactly. What's up, May? Okay, so we're going to go look this up on eBay. We're going to look up a Threadripper here. You see the Intel Xeon CPU, it's got to be terribly priced. So here it is, 3990X Threadripper. There it is. So tell me what you think. Still expensive, right? Still expensive. I think when this first came out, what was the pricing on it? I think this was closer to more like the 5 or 6. It was expensive, actually, this CPU. It was like 5 or maybe 4. It was like 4 or 5. But this was the highest of the high. 64 cores, 128 and 128 threads. Quite the beast, but as you see, still pretty pricey. Out of curiosity, let's see how much it sold for. We can easily check that out. Item location. We got to go to advanced. And we're going to go sold. Sold items. And now search. Okay, so, here's AMD Epic. See, these are also good too. So it seems like the Epics have been selling. So usually average price $1,100 for this Threadripper. I see an Intel Xeon Platinum CPU, LGA 77 core and 64 core for $25. Like, really? That's insane. Yeah, they are. I gotta say, it was really interesting installing it. It's actually, AMD does a really good job of helping you kind of install this processor. But you know, the crazy part is it's not like a standard CPU. These actually have torque specs when you actually install them. Because it's like they'll actually give you a ratchet with it, and when you install these Threadrippers, you can actually go back and look for that Threadripper build I had. It's one of the first builds I actually did on YouTube. And they give you a ratchet where you kind of wait for it to click, and once it clicks, you know it's tight enough. Anything more, you can damage it. Anything less, you're not really sitting the processor properly. Crazy. My 9950X beats it on Cinebench for half the price. See, exactly. That's what I mean. It's become inefficient to a certain point. Now, the good thing about these, they give you more lane usage. But yeah, exactly. That's the whole. That's the whole point of it. What's up, Squeeze? Let's take a look at how much the processor I got in there is worth now. Out of curiosity. Threadripper. See how much people are selling that for. Okay, so here's the motherboards. We didn't ask for the motherboard, but that's eBay for you. Okay, so it looks like about $625, still up there. Again, I originally purchased it like for $2,000, which was insane. But it's just crazy how much Threadrippers are now. This comes with the motherboard and the Threadripper installed for $750. But this is kind of suspicious because this only has one bid, and they're both from Oklahoma City, so it seems like it's the same person here. So my PC set on fire while... No way. No way. Did it really set on fire? Did your PC really set on fire? I gotta ask. What happened? I gotta ask, what did you notice when this happened? AMD has made some major moves. Looking forward to absolutely. I can't wait to see what AMD does for their upcoming processor. I do expect a lot, especially because there's supposed to be an improvement in not only into the on the CCD side, which is really important. We want it not just a single CCD, but we want it more, and it seems that they are going that direction. And that then on top of it, on the L2 cache, instead of just going up to their 32 megabyte limit, they're pushing it up to, I think, 48. So you can certainly see quite a improvement when it comes to their new processors. So definitely excited for it and can't wait for it, but we just gotta wait until they officially announce it. More than likely, they are going to announce it at the same time when Intel also releases their Panther Lake, which is supposed to be the AMD killer, so to say, which they've been saying like what, every year now, Intel. So, but they seem to be very serious about their AMD killer this time, and that instead of the 18A platform that they wanted to push for the 15A, but see, this is the problem where companies fail. They try to rush a product out, and it typically does not do as they expect it to. So if Intel proceeds that route, they're just doomed to repeat the same history. Hopefully they're smart enough to take their time and actually end up slowly catching up, because this is how you don't fail. But again, we'll see. We'll see what Intel really does. So I think the main difference on the 9950X3D, it has doubled the L3 cache. Yes, that's exactly the case. Because they stack their CCD, so that gives you the extra cache on your L3 cache. So it's more beneficial when you're gaming, and it's awesome for those who love to use it for editing and also use it for other usage such as streaming, or you can use it for gaming. So it does give you a lot more flexibility in that side because of the multi-cores. Now, again, like for people who strictly just game and that they aren't into like into doing things like editing or rendering, then most of you guys out there would be happy even with the 9800X3D or even the upcoming 9600X3D. But what makes it difficult is that Unreal Engine 5 is a very complicated engine. And even though it's supposed to improve, they're on version 5.6 now. They're probably going to be on 5.7 soon, but on 5.6, again, it's not that much of an improvement, and it still takes a vast amount of resources when it's being used. It's still using a lot of CPU usage, and it's still using GPU usage, so it's quite a resource hog, if anything, and it seems like Unreal Engine 5 was really more of a bust than anything. So what do you think about Apple MacBook A18 Pro? It's a decent laptop, but what are you trying to use it for? A18 Pro. Let me see. I would assume it's a decent one. It sounds more of a mobile processor. 18 Pro, because usually they are on. I'll find out now. I'm gonna Yeah, I use it for the 9950X to edit. That's why I passed on the 3D. Like it was $150 more. Yeah, because you don't really need it unless you're going to be on more of the gaming side. But if you're using it strictly for editing, it's going to be great for that. And even if you game on it, it's still going to perform excellent. Again, you're just missing out on the extra cash for those who want to use it for the gaming side. Again, it's not going to be that much of a big deal. I've compared the 7950X up against the original 7950X 3D to give you a good indication and the difference between the two. But let's see, A18 Pro. It's definitely going to be a lot lower cost. That's practically going to be based on their mobile processor. Okay. So now just looking at it right off the bat, I can tell you this. Yes, it was while playing Beam. Really? So what did it do? Did it just end up smoking? And then you notice and you just shut off your PC immediately? Because did you figure out what was the cause of it? I have to say. I love Apple Silicon Tech. My main problem with them is the soldering, the RAM, and the SSD on the logic board. Plus, they don't like non-Apple products. Yeah, it's true, but honestly, I use this monitor, the one that you see in front of me. I've connected it to a MacBook Pro plenty of times, but then again, I'm using the M4, so that's going to be a lot different compared to using something like the A18. A18 is going to be a lot more limited. It's going to be great for those, I can say, this processor. It's going to be great for those who are just going to really use it for super basic tasks, such as just using it to go onto the internet or using it to write up a document. But I would be honestly nervous though to open up multiple browsers because again, it's going to be a very limited processor when it comes to that side. I do agree that their tech is very good when it comes to certain aspects, but it's not going to be good for some of those who want to use it for other uses such as editing or photo editing. I wouldn't suggest getting the A18 Pro for that. It's going to be very limited. I would say for the if you do plan to go to the Apple side and you want to use it strictly for design usage, I would highly recommend getting something more or so, such as like the M3 or the M4 or even the M1's still good to this day. It's actually, the technology is not really that far apart from each other when it comes to the M series. I've tested the M3 Pro against the M4 Pro, and again, it's not that large scale of a difference. In fact, even when I compared the two, and I even kept the M4 Pro over the M3 Pro, which I feel like that was more of a mistake. I actually like the M3 Pro a bit more than M4 Pro, oddly enough, even though its performance is quite better. But it just seemed like the M3 Pro was just a bit better for some reason. So hopefully that kind of explains that side of it. That's just what I think of it. So it's an expensive version of a Chromebook, practically. Exactly. That's what the A18 Pro is. That's all you can expect it to do. Again, I would be nervous about opening 10 tabs or more on that side if you were to use the A18 Pro, or even like if you were to open up like say some sort of streaming service and on the browser, I would be a bit worried about the resources being used. I think they will give it 4-core. Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, so it's super limited. It's great for those who, honestly, at that point, you might as well just got an iPad with the keyboard. You'd probably be better off than getting the MacBook. But the only thing is you would miss out on the Mac OS, and I would imagine that would be quite, it would take up quite a bit of resources. So yeah, I sold my M3 Pro and I built my Monster PC instead. I do love their hardware and I do agree. I do love their quality when it comes to it. Now I only use that one really when I need it. Like if I'm out traveling and I have to do some sort of editing, then I will use it. But I feel like it's not really necessary for a lot of people out there unless you are a professional that needs it. Now for most people would be mostly happy with a PC build, and I highly recommend it. For those who are into for gaming or into video editing and streaming, PC is certainly the best way to go about it because you have a lot more flexibility and it just feels like a much more open platform compared to Mac OS, I have to say. So I got the new BIOS update on my AORUS X870E ICE, and it was surprised to me. Oh, really? That makes me curious. I still have, if you guys haven't noticed, I still have a Z890 that's sitting back there. And the reason being is originally I thought, hey, maybe I'll just get the new processor. Maybe I'll just get the Intel 200 series processor and just get Battlefield 6. I can get the key for free then. But then I thought, you know what? I kind of want to wait for the refresh. And then when the refresh releases, do a PC build based on that. So you guys let me know. That's probably more or likely the case. You probably want to see how the refresh does, which I'm not going to have high expectations, obviously, for. I don't expect it to be a leap, like a major, large leap. But I would be quite interested to see how it does comparatively to the 9800 X3D build. So, how much RAM you have, Chris? You have 64 gigabytes? So on my PC build, on my gaming build, I only have 32. On something like a Threadripper platform, I have 64. I thought about pushing it up to 128. I might as well, but on a gaming platform, I just only need 32. No, I'm sorry, not 32. I have 48. I have the 24 gigabyte RAM sticks on there, so I have G.Skill at 48 gigabytes. I actually have all the specifications listed on the gaming build. On the Threadripper build, I have 64, which I should expand soon. Now it's making it sound small, actually, now. So building a PC because such an addiction for someone like me. I'm someone that really enjoys assembling and taking apart things to understand the proper functionality. I get it. I feel the same way. I feel like I'm just like how you feel, Wasabi. It just seems so much fun just putting things together and just making it work. It just feels great. The sense of accomplishment. And it just makes you feel like you have you have some sort of an achievement for every time you do it. So I 100% know how you feel, Wasabi. What do you think of the GeForce Now Cloud Gaming? Does NVIDIA have any future in this tech? I feel like they're trying to push it. It's kind of funny when you really think about it. They kind of almost want to get. This is more of like a conspiracy side of it, I would say, which would be that they want GPUs to get to the point where it's unaffordable, then everyone's forced to go on cloud gaming, which would make sense for NVIDIA on that side. They don't have to produce the GPUs for the consumer market, but instead they rely on the cloud gaming side. But again, that's just crazy conspiracy theory. This random thought that just came in my head when I think NVIDIA. Unfortunately, it's how we have to think of NVIDIA now, especially how they treat our customer base, unfortunately, which is a bit true, I gotta say. But hopefully that's not the case. More than likely, you will still see a desktop PC still dominating when it comes to GPUs. So eventually, I feel like cloud-based gaming will eventually pretty much fade away. They want it to work, but again, the big problem is internet. Now, Twin2 Bro says, my 5070 Ti overclock is amazing. Only thing is that the drivers seem to be a little finicky. I just updated it to the last studio, and all of a sudden I'm black screening when entering a virtual environment. Really? That makes me a bit curious about their upcoming updates. But yeah, black screen was a big issue when it came to NVIDIA. I gotta say their drivers have been sketchy at the most as of earlier this year. I haven't had any issues currently with NVIDIA's current drivers, luckily, and hopefully that I continue not having any issues with their drivers currently, as we were having all kinds of issues with games such as Monster Hunter Wilds, which we could easily blame on Unreal Engine 5. Also, there was issues when it came to Doom. There was other issues in other games when I was playing with their latest updates at the time. But currently, it seems like everything has been mostly smooth on the NVIDIA side. It's improving. But again, NVIDIA is good for those, especially who are really for those who are more into the gaming and editing aspect. It's great for everyone out there in that side. 9070 XT is excellent for those who are looking for the best value and plays in 1440p. So building a PC has been like Legos, but more expensive with high stakes in terms of mistakes. Absolutely. It's just like we all saw how, if you guys didn't see it, I should post up the short on YouTube as well. I put it on to TikTok, and I put it on X, and I also put it on Instagram, I think. Yeah, I put it on Instagram as well, about when we did the CPU install on Ricky's motherboard, on the Intel 14700K into his motherboard, which was a bit fun, doing it on the hood of a Mustang. But high stakes such as that's the most scariest part when it comes to a PC build. And but for the next time, I gotta let him give it a shot. I should let him try to install a CPU socket once we do some sort of other CPU build. I mean PC build, not CPU build, but let him install it and see how he does it. So I filled all four with 16 gigabytes. I have i7-10700T, which has a high Super Pi smooth rating on the i7-10700. Am I Mizo? No, I get that question a lot. No, I am not. Think about making a PC from 30 years ago with all those individual parts, but also individual connectors and interference. My gosh. Yeah, exactly. It's just a big evolution from then. I remember back then when they actually used ITE cables, and they had optical drives, and they also had SATA connectors were new. They've always had the ATX side, but it's improved a lot compared over to ribbon cables and hard drives, and now it's a lot more easier than what it was back then. And it was really also easy to kind of make mistakes too back then if you weren't sure how to hook up these specific orders correctly. Now, Monster Hunter Wilds is not on Unreal Engine 5. I thought they were. Huh. I always thought they were on Unreal Engine 5. It just seemed so rough. They use the same engine as Resident Evil, which is not great for open world environments. I don't know why are you AI. You know it. So, so I didn't know in 1991 that motherboard from ASUS could be AMD or Intel CPUs. Oh, really? What an odd case to see today, that we don't see that anymore. Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that. That's actually a very interesting fact. I gotta look that up. That's very interesting that they were... That has to do more so with forcing somebody to get a certain brand of CPU now, whether to get Intel or to get AMD. So yeah, same price, PCI Express 3 and PCI Express 4 and PCI Express 5, X8 and X16. So when it comes to motherboards and when it comes to specific CPUs, now you have to really be careful on what you select, whether you want to go Intel or you want to go AMD. Again, there's nothing wrong with either one. Of course, there's always a preference for one. Of course, most people do go to the AMD standard now, as they have, they're the best when it comes to just about every aspect. When it comes to the whole gaming side, when it comes to to their drivers have improved phenomenally compared to over Intel's platform. Intel's platform just seems almost irregulated. Like there's no type of real regulation when it comes to their platform. It's really weird, I gotta say, for the most part, because I remember when Intel used to be the more expensive CPU, and now it's just like they just completely turned into the value CPU, which is hilarious, I gotta say. And I remember at the time, and when Intel was really making fun of AMD, when they were like really ahead at the market, saying that they kept claiming that AMD were the ones that glued their chips together, which was 100% false. And it turned out that Intel was actually the ones that were gluing their chips together in their processors, which is insane. So, hey, really enjoying the stream. Awesome. Thanks a lot, Bjorn. I'm glad you are enjoying it. I did my first water cooling overclock on a laptop, and I just took out the motherboard and put the heatsink in a bowl of ice, and the CPU hit 10 Celsius. Enjoy it, Squeeze. So memory and storage are so cheap and fast now, and GPUs and MOBOs are getting outrageous. I've seen boards go for $1,000 now. It's insane. I agree. There's now motherboards go up even past $1,000 now. I bet you we can look one up, and there'll be one that's easily for like maybe even $1,100 or $1,200. But I remember when $400 was considered expensive. In fact, when I did this Threadripper build, I remember the motherboard that I purchased, which was, I think it was the ASUS TRX 40 gaming. So it wasn't like, again, the highest end type of motherboard, but they only had like 4 or 5 type of motherboards for the TRX 40 at the time, and that's what I picked. It was between them, ASRock, and I think that was it. They didn't really had too many choices, so I ended up going with them, and I picked up that motherboard, and it was $430, and I thought, man, that's an expensive motherboard. But now $430 seems like a deal now compared to what it is, what it was back then, which is insane. Back then, $400 would be considered like a very high-end motherboard. So it's no very wrong with Intel's expensive. If you choose K CPU, you don't have to buy an X or Z series motherboard. But I mean, just for the processor side. I get what you're saying there, Ryzen, but it's just like from the processor side. It seems like they used to be a lot more expensive when it came to their processors. It's called Socket 7 from 1995. Have you installed the SSD? No, I have not. I'm still working on it. I've been so busy with trying to create some new content, and it's just been a crazy week, I have to say. I wanted to do so much, but I'm thinking of installing it onto the PC and doing some bench tests compared to the Gigabytes Gen 5, which is the 10,000. It's obviously going to be quicker than that, as it reaches up to 14,000 in speed, or 14,900, I think, even at the maximum speed. But I definitely do want to test it, and I was either thinking of doing that or just holding it for the stealth build. But that's still a work in progress. Still trying to figure things out. I'm not hearing back from certain people out there, certain brands that I'm waiting on. So I'm waiting on them more than anything. But if I don't hear back soon enough, I'll just probably end up, because I don't like letting things sit, and I really just want to test it to see where it goes. But anyway, I got the B560 motherboard for $40. Great deal. Yes, the M.2 card. Yes. Yeah, it's funny. It's sitting right there on the table. It's this one right here, actually. Still sitting on the table, and it's every time I look at it, I'm like, man, this would look better. It would be so much better inside of a PC and then seeing the box right there. But I definitely want to install it. But it took me a while to narrow my choice down. I went with the MSI's Tomahawk X870, and it was for $400. The VRMs are great and love the BIOS. My VR. He keeps the SSD until Microsoft is looking for the problem with these S. You know what's funny? I just spoke on that just earlier. There is an update for that, in fact. And you know what Microsoft practically said? They said, oh, just reinstall Windows. That'll resolve the issue. So what does that tell you right there? They say just reinstall Windows. They stopped blaming the hardware and said reinstall Windows. That's not very promising on their side. But they still claim that it was a fluke that this happened, and that there's actually several tests that some people have tried, which is installing an OS with over 60% capacity, and then the drive fails, some people claim. But again, this is still quite the debacle. So I was going to go AIO, but went with Noctua's G2 air cooler, and I'm impressed. Noctua is awesome, I gotta say. And they're actually about to release their CPU cooler, their AIO CPU cooler. Some people aren't a big fan of the color, but I gotta say they are great when it comes to just silence. I would be pretty dope to do like a stealth build with all Noctua fans, right? It would be kind of expensive, but they're just like silent. You don't hear nothing from them. So I got AKA's Venom Voodoo cooler with 5 fans somehow attached to it. Is not stock. Voodoo's a throwback. Just like my other 990 Evo, still sitting there just looking at me with other... I know exactly how you feel. It's funny, I want to do this stealth build, and even though I got this Gigabyte Z890 board sitting over here, I know it wouldn't be as good to put in because I know it's going to have some sort of RGB. I'm trying to make it just strictly just straight stealth, and I'm waiting for another component for it. And ironically, more than likely, it might be the AM5 platform, and if it is, it's just funny because it's just like Intel's just sitting there in the corner all by itself still. So, a Mir 10 i7. Okay. We'll put this guy to rest here. So, depends on what you're using the machine for, but I pair mine with the 9950X. That's a good combination. So 2025 H2 Windows Update, the installing. Yeah, exactly, Takuma. Exactly the case. Streaming and streaming and playing on 1440. That's the way to go. 1440 is way underrated. It's still great, I gotta say, for the most part. Do you think Intel Core Ultra i7 265K paired with the RTX Ti or RTX 5080 would be good choice for? You know what's funny? The build that we actually just did, and Takuma and Wasabi can tell you, was pretty much a Micro Center bundle, which was the 14700K. 265K is the closest thing to it. It's just a bit slower than the 14700K. But it is the way to go if you want to do a streaming and a streaming/gaming type of build. You can certainly do it, or you can even go to AMD's platform if you'd like. Now, if you are very into like photo editing and video editing and things like that, Intel is good for it because there are platforms out there that are a bit more integrated when it comes to Intel. Now, with AMD, it also works just as good, but that's, again, more focused on the whole gaming side, and also works as well when it comes to the whole streaming side. So, gameplay from a PS5 Pro, occasionally streaming and recording PC gameplay as well, or would it be better to go with Ryzen 9 9800X3D instead? So if you have the budget for the 9800X3D, I'd say just go 9800X3D. You won't regret it. But again, you want to have more cores if you're just going to be streaming. You'll be good with the 9800X3D, to be honest. If you're gaming on it, you can certainly do it. I've done it personally myself to test it to see how well it works. Works great. And you will have no issues if you go 9800 X3D. You'll be, I feel, happier with that build with the 9800 X3D, and a 5070 Ti would be a good combination. So that's what I did. It actually matches my Fractal North XL build, all Noctua fan stealth, but I did put a white LED strip inside of the case to light it up. Yeah, I have to, it probably seems so just like empty without any type of lighting, but that one light strip probably made a big difference, I bet, in displaying your components. But I gotta say, how do you like it? How silent is it? Do you hear it? Like, how's it like when you're gaming? I mean, how's it like when you're using it for like when you're encoding or rendering? I have to say, I'm curious to hear how it sounds like. So I would go with 9900 X3D when you stream and using a capture card. Yeah, it's always better to have a bit more cores. Personally, if you could, it's always good to get as many cores as you can. So Dave S says, morning, do you have any experience with the 12700 KF? I do. Do you know if it has an onboard graphics? That does not. KF does not. If you are looking for onboard graphics, you're going to need something more like the Intel 12700K. The KF means it doesn't have the integrated graphics. If you just get the standard K, it has the integrated graphics. Even they'll have a S edition again, like when it's 12900 KS. That's like an overclock edition processor, and that will also have integrated graphics. So the i7 265K is a good choice, just trying to find that out, but I always come out with people yelling AMD X3D for gaming. But my son needs to do more for gaming alone, and I think I need more multitasking. So yeah, so I mean, like I said, it's Intel was just trying to go a bit more power efficient when it came to the 265K, but ironically, it's not as power efficient. So you probably have a lot of people that's upset because everything is more AMD focused now, I can say, for the most part. But if he is also going to be gaming and also streaming, it's also good to have a AMD processor. I know Intel was like originally a great choice at the time, especially back then. Intel was the one to go to compared to AMD. But I can certainly tell you times have certainly changed in that aspect. But Intel, again, is good for certain platforms if you are going to be using it for something like Adobe, because they're still pretty much Intel focused. So, Ryzen 5 5600 GT, good with the 3060. I mean, it's good together, yes, but I gotta say, you're using it for what type of usage are you going to be using it for? It's so quiet. I did it before in a video clip, and I changed the OEM fractional fans. I love it. I can barely hear a thing. It's so cool. Yeah, I agree. So you mean the Ti, right? 3060 Ti with the 56. Yes, they can go good together. Good for gaming. Like I said, we were talking a bit earlier. Excuse me. Just got to get some water in my system here. Okay. That way I can clear my throat. But I can say yes, it's still a good combination. Now the TPM usage, which I spoke about earlier, that's something you have to watch. Make sure that your motherboard is also TPM 2.0 compatible. And that seems to be the problem and the case that more and more people will run into. So if you're trying to say do a build, you want to make sure that it is compatible. But if this is your build already, yes, it's still a pretty good build. But I would say pretty soon it might need some upgrading. So and see, when your son uses it more than gaming, like stream, recording, AMD Ryzen 9 9900 X3D paired with the RTX 5080 would be great to game, but also to stream, but also good internet connections needed. That is true. Takuma speaks truth. Gaming and content creation? No. No, not at all. I wouldn't recommend a 5600 GT for content creation because it's not going to have the cores in there for you to be able to create what you want to. And even if you do attempt it, it's going to be very slow. How much Marvel Rivals jiggles physics can your PC handle? All right. Good seeing you, buddy. But I will put you in timeout for the rest of the session. How's that sound, buddy? DDR4 is dead. Yes, pretty much. Okay, thank you for your good advice. Bro, I'm broke. Aren't we all, unfortunately. True, you are only as good as your weakest link. So again, if anybody has any more questions too, feel free to join the Discord. It's down in the description box down below. We certainly answer questions. You could show off your PC builds. And so that way you don't only have to worry about catching the stream as well. And also some great guys are also on there. Takuma is on there as well, as I'm sure he will be happy to answer questions. Our buddy Ricky is on there. Unfortunately, he's not with us on the stream. What happened? What did he say? Oh, nothing. He's just trolling. He's just trolling the chat. That's all. Nothing big. The squeeze was just saying random things. So, yeah, it was nothing bad. Don't worry, guys. Like we were talking about, again, if you have any questions, if you want to share any photos of your PC builds, or if you need help with your PC build, feel free to join Discord. It's just down in the description box down below. Yes, that's correct, Dave. And hopefully everybody... so I gotta make a list on a vote of what this stealth PC build should be based on. And so far, I'm liking the sound of Noctua fans. But again, what does everybody think of that too? Because I got, I have a lot of inspiration, especially hearing how well the Noctua fans have been on a stealth PC build. So I'm curious to build it to see how it sounds. What does everybody think? And I'll put it right next to some like typical fans, and we can compare the decibel levels to see how they both sound. I'll check it out. I want to show you my build. Thanks. Yeah, certainly show it off. I would love to share it with on live if you don't mind. My PC does not start, but SMPs is starting in paperclip test. Okay, so you've been trying to start your PC and it hasn't been starting, but you've done the paperclip test on the power supply, and it seems that it's been you're still getting some sort of signal from your power supply. So you're certain that it's not. So that's like practically saying that your motherboard's like shot at that point. Oh, have you texted in Discord? Let me just double check here. Don't see anything. Is M4 really for Pro? Yes. Like if you're trying to, the standard M4 isn't, but the M4 Pro is, I would say. And it depends on the type of, and it all depends on the type of usage that you're using it for. If you're going to be using it for like heavy editing, or if you're going to be using it for some sort of graphic design, then the M4 Pro would be the best to get. The standard M4 isn't professional, but it's also a much better choice compared to something like an A18, if that helps you out, Ryzen. Now, the brown and tan will grow on you, especially with the black case. They are the newer versions of fans that cost like $40 each. Those are the ones that came on my G2 cooler since it's newer. Oh, that's pretty dope. But the prior version, the fans are what make the intake and exhaust have, and they are super quiet. Probably about half of what the fractional fans were. Really? That much of a difference. So no, the motherboard is not shorted. I checked in another S&P's in repair shop. What's good combination with... Oh, that's what you've been trying to say. Bro, I've been missing it. So, what's a good combination for gaming and content creation within the price of a Ryzen 5 5600 GT? Okay, so at that point, it sounds like you're very determined to get the Ryzen 5 5600 GT and the 3060 Ti. Again, I would highly recommend changing out the processor, because that's not going to be good for content creation, to be honest. You need to get something that's going to have much more cores than the 5600 GT. What do you think of the iPad Pro M4 for Pro or just entertainment iPad? I think, honestly, I have to say it's more entertainment. I feel that, I don't know what Apple was thinking when they decided to come out with that. Really, I feel that was more money-based. Ironically, it's expensive for nothing, in my personal opinion. Yes, you can do... it's very powerful technically, but you're very limited on the iOS system to do things. So I wouldn't even bother with the iPad. Instead, I would just go ahead and go with like the like a regular M4 Lite, like any of those Airs, like the MacBook Air, if you were to go that route. Yeah, I don't even know how they do it, but they are very quiet. It just makes me bump into my fan curves. I just don't put my PWM at 100%. I get it. It's amazing though. Oh, excuse me. Oh, my throat. Excuse me, guys. But I gotta say, how they do it when Noctua does it, it's quite amazing when it comes to their technology. And it has to do something with their fan designs that keeps the it keeps the sound very low. It has to do with the blades on it, I remember. I have to look at it again. I had a Noctua fan, but unfortunately I broke it because it was sitting in an area where it shouldn't have, and then the corner on it snapped. But I do have to get some Noctua fans in. Would certainly love to do some sort of stealth build on it. How much can you utilize M4 in a limited iOS? Pretty bad. You can limit it really bad. If iPad can run Mac OS, I'd be down. I think a lot of people would, to be honest. Recommend me a brand for RTX 5070. The RTX 5070, I would say go with Gigabyte. Has been excellent when it comes to their RTX 50 series cards, and MSI is really good. ASUS is pretty decent, but those would be the main three, I would say. Zotac's been good too. Zotac's actually excellent as well. But again, Zotac would be last on the list, I would say. But I would say if you're looking for the top, I would go for Gigabyte first. Now, I'll go with AMD. I'm still deciding between the 9800 X3D and between the 9950 X3D. I still need to let go of the idea that Intel is always the best. I grew up thinking that Intel, it was at one time. That's why I was saying too, that Intel used to be the top at one point, but times has certainly changed. Because it's changed since Intel's 9th generation, which was about 6 years, no longer. I think even longer. It was more like, like 6 to 7 years ago, I think. Yeah, 6 to 7 years ago, it really started to change. But, Lukeman, ASUS, I grew up thinking Intel was the top choice, but now I want to give AMD a chance. Give it a chance. You certainly won't regret it. I can certainly tell you AMD is excellent when it comes to their PCs. After some time, Noctua will start making turbine, and then Tag will be silent. Can you imagine once they come out with like the fanless coolers? And I would feel like Noctua would be the ones to do something like that. So, FanBim guys, I appreciate everyone for joining in. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And make sure to help out the stream out there, and make sure to join in and subscribe to the channel. And also make sure to go down and join in on Discord. I usually go live on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Wednesdays, I usually go live between 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern. And on the weekends, like Saturdays, I will usually stream between 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern. So hopefully you guys did enjoy it. Make sure to join in. And don't forget to join the Discord. I got to see the photos of the build. If you're just joining in on Discord too, just to let you know, just make sure to click the green check mark into the Discord, and you can join in. And it's going to be the rules section. Just hit the green check mark and you're pretty much good to go. But again, I appreciate everybody for joining in, and make sure to, again, subscribe, join the channel, and follow the social media handles. And I will post my website here where you can find my other handles or join the Discord as well. Hopefully it sends it through. I gotta send it through this one here. The description box will be down. It should be right under the video. I'll show it real quick for everybody out there. It's gonna be kind of freaky going into the my own live, right? Let's go here. I'm gonna go to here. And just give me a moment. I'm just getting over to the browser here. There we go. It's on private browser now. And we'll just look on my live, so that way I can see what it looks like for you guys out there that's watching the live. So I'm just gonna go here, and I'll show you how to get to the description box real quick. You can see my live here. Let's go on YouTube. And I'll look myself up. Where is it? My videos, lives, all this just to get to my own video. Still manages to do this. All right, so if you're looking for the description, I'll be right here. Oh, I lost myself. Awesome. Right here. There we go. Right there. I know on mobile it's going to be different, but it'll be right here. And if you click more, it'll be in the description box this way. So make sure to join in. Yeah, thanks a lot. I appreciate it, guys. What kind of CPU has more cores in the price range of... well, that I can certainly share with you, but make sure to join Discord and I will answer your questions there. Thanks again, everybody, for joining in and watching, and appreciate meeting everybody as well.